cry for all the innocent ones born into a world that's lost its heart, for those who never learn to dream, because their hope is crushed before they can start. We shake our fists at the air and say, if God is love, how can this be fair? But we are his hands, we are his voice, we are the ones who must make the choice. If it isn't now, tell me when. If it isn't you, tell me who will save the children.
It's hard to fathom how a family could sell their child into prostitution, but in the most impoverished areas, the story isn't uncommon. Traffickers prey on desperate families, and children are exchanged for money and promises of a better future.
We count our blessings one by one, yet we have forgotten how to give. It seems that we don't want to face all the hungry and homeless who struggle to live. But heaven is watching tonight, tugging at our hearts to do what's right.
And we are his hands, we are his voice, we are the ones who must make the choice.
If it isn't now, tell me when.
If it isn't you, tell me who will save the children. Who will save the children?
The Palanyag Cemetery, or the graveyard, wherein there are about 1,000 people living in the graveyard because the parents are neglecting them, and they have a lot of children, and because of poverty they cannot support their children. Tell them so that they can have food. They learn how to take drugs. They learn how to use their body so that they will have money, such as in prostitution. In fact, in one area, they pay 20 pesos, or about half a dollar or 50 cents for sex as early as 10 years old. Even our government are not aware of this, and they have priorities.
There will be millions of people will be affected with HIV.
Yes.
Instead of thousands right now. Because there are a lot of needs, foods, medicines, training, education, and there are a lot of volunteers. The harvest is ripe.
Hands, we are his voice, we are the ones.
We are on our way to the cemetery where almost or approximately 1,000 people live there in cemetery, and that's where the scene also of the crime, where the drugs are, and also human sex trafficking, prostitution, and anything that the result of being in poverty. And there are children, a lot of children live there that are not being taken care of by their parents, but they are surviving themselves by doing drugs and by doing prostitution.
Where parents give up their children because they have too many to take care of and can't afford to take care of them.
Large grave condos. The condos are like mausoleums piled on top of each other, or rather like a wall of mailboxes in an apartment building. There is a coffin with a body. Children are running around mostly barefooted, some bathing in stagnant rainwater, some hiding among graves trying to protect themselves from the sun's heat. You smell the bodies of the dead and garbage dumped.
This is the gravesite. This is called the cemetery where the dead people lives. But what is unique in this cemetery is not only the dead people lives, it is the people who are alive that don't have a home, don't have a family to support them, and they end up living here. At nighttime, this is full of people. This is daylight right now in the Philippines, so at nighttime it is full of people sheltering themselves from the elements by having here put a plywood here and slept over in the cemetery. That dome that you see over there will be full of people tonight. And while people are also busy resting, there are people who are also busy sexual risk and promiscuity. So prostitution, in other words, is being alive here. People are paying like 50 cents of a dollar to have a sex. And the victims are children who are 10-year-old and above, 13-year-old, 14-year-old. So human sex trafficking is just rampant in this arena. They seem not to have any clue where and what they are doing. So they need love, they need education, they need training. So this is where we can show that God can reach them out, because they are also have been created through the image of Christ. This is Sunshine Stanford. I am a servant of the Lord, and I am a missionary by heart. And we went to the Philippines to see thousands of children that lives in this cemetery right now. So our short goal for thousands of children is to where we can help to do the feeding program, so that these children are victims of human sex trafficking, of drugs. Why? Because of poverty. They don't have any food to eat. So if we are eating more than 3 times a day, let's share our love. Be a part of our short-term goal is to provide them food with our feeding program. And with our long-term goal, 2 years to 3 years, that we can accomplish to provide for the shelter. For the shelter where they're going to feel when they go to bed, they don't have an empty stomach, groaning, knowing in pain because they are hungry. We're going to have that house and shelter for them called Hope to Shine. And everybody could be a part of this Hope to Shine. If you have something that you can share, empty your chains every day, and we can put it together, and together we can make a difference, and together we cannot allow anybody, any child, to go hungry.
Those who never learn to dream, because their hope is crushed before they can start, and we shake our fists at the air and say, if God is love, how can this be fair?